Good morning, my name is Ganesh. Today we are going to talk about Robert Ruark play. Let's talk about him. He was born in North Carolina in 1915. If we are going to talk about his early life, he was studying in New Hanover High School, and then he participated to University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill at age of 15. But actually he didn't graduate and he didn't take a degree of journalism. He married very early to Virginia Webb. Uh, they married in 1938, and in 1963 they divorced. Uh, she Virginia Webb died in 1966. After he became a famous writer, and he decided to go to Africa to write a book. And he his novel was A Horn of the Hunter. Selby and Rourke, they tried to be hunters, and it was like a great experience for him. And at the end of his life, he was buried in Spain.
Alexander Barr was ordered into the armed guard aboard the merchant ship in 1943. Lieutenant Alex Barr had his crew well in hand except Zabinski, because he was a youngster with unpleasant character. Zabinski, mid-discipliner, was on board. One day Alex carried Zabinski to his cabin. Alex has come to the conclusion that they have to fight with boxing gloves. Alex announces the exhibition of boxing skills, and people gathered on deck. Alex and Zabinski were fighting 2-minute rounds. Alex knew that Zabinski could knock him out with a single punch if he wanted to, but Zabinski was toying with Alex. In the third round, Alex ran up to his cabin and opened the safe. There were a paper for petrol of 10 cent coins. Then he put this roll of silver coins into his gloves and returned on deck. Alex Barr crushed the boy's chin with the silver glove, and Zabinski was out. After that, Lieutenant Alexander Barr had no more personal trouble aboard ship.
I would like to tell you about a full play. Firstly, in 1943, Lieutenant Alexander Barr was ordered into the armed guard aboard the merchant ship, like many other civilian officers with no real mechanical skills, teachers, writers, lawyers. Lieutenant Alec Barr had his crew well in hand except one character, a young boy called Zabinski. Discipline on board was hard to keep, and Zabinski made it worse. Alec realized that the only thing that Zabinski understands is boxing. He announced the exhibition of boxing skills, and Zabinski was too good at boxing. And then Alec said that he needs time out. He went to his cabin and took out a paper wrapped roll of 10-cent coins. He put this roll of silver coins into his glove and returned on deck. Then the silver-weighted glove crashed into the boy's chin, and Zabinski was out. Alec Barr looked bravely and said coldly, "Somebody threw some water on him." After that, he had no more personal trouble aboard ship. And after that, he had no more personal trouble aboard ship. And in conclusion, I want to finish with a proverb: as you sow, so shall you reap.
Now, I'm going to tell you about the story called a full play. Lieutenant Alexander Barr was ordered into the Armed Guard Mission aboard the Mansion ship in 1933. He had his crew well in his hand, except Zabinski, because Zabinski was the youngest and with unpleasant character. He made discipline worse in the board. In the one day, Alec called Zabinski to his cabin, and he decided to fighting with him in the boxing gloves. Alec announced the exhibition of boxing skill. Then people gathered on deck. Alec and Zabinski were fighting 2-minute rounds. Alec knew that Zabinski could knock him out with a single punch. Of course, if he wanted to, but Zabinski just toying with him. In the third round, Alec ran out to his cabin and opened the safe. In his safe were a roll wrapped with 10-cent coins. Then he put it in his gloves and returned the deck. With these clothes, Alex Barr crushed Zabinski's chin, and Zabinski was out. After that, Lieutenant Barr had no more personal trouble aboard ship.
A full play. Lieutenant Alexander Barr was ordered into the Armed Guards broad merchant ship in 1943. Lieutenant Alec Barr had his crew well in hand, except Zabinski, because he was a youngster with unpleasant character. Zabinski made discipline worse on board, and one day Alex called Zabinski to his cabin. Alex has come to the conclusion that they have to fight with boxing gloves. Alec announced the exhibition of boxing skill. Then people gathered on desk. Alec and Zabinski fighting 2 minutes rounds. Alec knew that Zabinski could knock him out with a single punch if he wanted to, but Zabinski just was toying with Alex. In the third round, Alec ran up to his cabin and opened the safe. There were a paper wrapped roll of 10-cent coins. Then he put his roll of silver coins into his glove and
The story which I am going to tell you is called The Foul Play. The author of the story is a well-known English writer, Ruark. Lieutenant Alexander Barr was ordered into the armed guard aboard the Mansion ship in 1943. He had his crew well in his hands, except Zabinski, because Zabinski was a youngster with an unpleasant character. He made discipline worse on board, and one day Alec called Zabinski to his cabin. Alec has come to the conclusion that they have to fight with boxing gloves. Alec announced the exhibition of boxing skill. Then all people gathered on deck. They were fighting 2-minute rounds. Alec knew that Zabinski could knock him out with a single punch if he wanted to, but Zabinski was toying with him. In the third round, Alec ran up to his cabin and opened the safe. There were a paper roll of
10 coins. Then he put these silver coins into his gloves and returned on deck. Ali crushed the boy's chin, and Zabinski was out. After that, Lieutenant Alexander Barr, had no more personal trouble on ship.
In 1933, Lieutenant Alec Barr was ordered into the armed guard aboard the merchant ship. Like many other civilian officers, with no real mechanical skills, teachers, lawyers, and writers. Lieutenant Alec Barr had his crew well in hand, except one particularly unpleasant character, a youngster called Zabinski. Every ship has its problem child, and Zabinski was Alex Cross. If anybody was drunk and in trouble ashore, it was Zabinski. If anybody smoked and watch, or asleep and watch, it was always Zabinski. And the discipline on board was to keep, and Zabinski made it worse. Alec called the boy, and calls the boy in his cabin, and say, "I have got some boxing gloves. Navy regulations do they used for recreation." "And that's all right," Zabinski said, smiling. Then, Alec announced the exhibition of boxing skills. A lot of people gathered desk to watch the match. And in the third round, Alec said, "Time out. He said, "I'm going to my cabin, and I will soon be back." And he turned and ran out of his cabin. After Alec opened the safe and took out of 10 cent coins. He put this roll of silver coins into the gloves and returned me back. Now the silver weight glove crashed into the boy's chin, and Zabinski was out. He was lying on floor, motionless. Alec Barr looked briefly and say, "Somebody threw waters of him." Somebody threw some waters of him, said coldly to the seaman. After that, Lieutenant Alexander Barr had no more personal trouble aboard ship.